Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I have a how do I keep my Alocasia cuprea red secrets leaves standing up instead of drooping down video for you. What a title, huh? Yes, in this video I'm going to be repotting my Alocasia cuprea red secret. And the reason I'm doing that is because I actually want to do something that you've probably never seen anywhere else before when working with an Alocasia cuprea red secret. Yes, I am going to, just get it out here, get one of these things that you know I love. I am going to be staking up this plant to keep the leaves up so that they don't start drooping down, falling over and snapping off, because that is a problem I have in my space here, because this plant has been in an area where the lamps are on the ground around it, and thus it's been folding over and down towards the light rather than upwards and holding its stems up like this one here, which is really beautiful, this new one, holding itself up still at the moment, like that. Because this is a plant that needs very bright, indirect light, actually. And my space is actually quite low light. So I'm going to stake it up and then put it underneath a lamp that will help to keep the leaves growing upwards stronger on these petioles here. Now, if you look at these petioles, they are quite thin, they're quite soft. I mean, they don't stay rigid, stiff. They can easily soften and bend so this plant can find the light, because it really does like bright light. So remember that if you're going to go out and get one of these plants, it needs a position with a very bright light. And also when it comes to soil, it needs a very good aerated soil, an aroid soil, because it is an aroid. And so for me, I'm going to be repotting this into a little bit bigger pot so that I'll have space to put this stake in. So the potting mix I'm using is a lovely rich compost, and I've added a lot of wood bark into it, chunks of wood bark, and I've also added a bit of perlite as well to keep the soil light and aerated. Now this plant likes to be in moist soil, but not soggy, boggy or compact, and it doesn't like to stand in water. It likes an even level of moisture. So what you need to do when you're indoors is let the soil dry out till around about 2 centimeters from the top of the soil. Then you can get your moisture gauge or your finger and stick your finger in and then test the moisture that way, and then give the plant some more water. So that's very good for this plant while it's growing. As it's a house plant for most of us, if it's growing, then you can fertilize it with the fertilizer that you have. I don't know what kind of fertilizer you want to use for your plants, but I have a fertilizer that I bought in a garden centre here. It's their own special mix and it works really, really well. I don't know exactly what's in it. It's a secret recipe. So go out and find a fertilizer that you know will work for your plant, and you can fertilize your plant while it's growing. If during the winter months your plant stops growing, then you can reduce the amount you water your plant and then you don't need to fertilize it. But if your plant is still putting on growth and it's still happy, I would go ahead and fertilize your plant all winter long, because that's what I do with mine. It's up to you, but that's what I do. If it's growing, it still needs that extra fertilizer, right? But if it's dormant, or if it's not growing, it's not doing anything, it's just looking nice, then you don't need to. So that was some care tips for this plant. And another good thing is to spray over the leaves to keep them shiny and bright, because it's got very shiny leaves, very bright leaves. They need to be clear of dust and debris, because this plant, as I said, likes bright light to be able to photosynthesize well. And another thing about this plant is it does love high humidity. That's a really good thing for this plant. So the room that I have this plant in is my indoor terrace garden, and there the humidity is between 60 and 70 nearly all the time as an average. So this plant is actually, despite how it looks, hanging and drooping, and a leaf that's completely snapped off at the bottom here, I'll show you close up in a minute, it's really happy because it's put out all these new leaves, and I can see now there's a new leaf coming out, and at the bottom it's got 2 new pups. Yes, this plant is having babies, so it's very happy despite all this. So I'm just going to do a little revamp with a new pot and a stake and tie up the leaves so they can look nice and tall. And then this plant should be fine to carry on as it is in the room. So before I start anything, let me just bring it in so you can have a closer look at what's going on. So there it is. Look at the beautiful leaves on this Alocasia cuprea Red Secret. It is just amazing. And this big one here I'm holding became soft and snapped down because it was trying to find the light. And that's what I don't want to happen to the rest of these young leaves that are coming out that are beautiful but are managing to keep themselves up at the moment. There's another one there, and then the one at the back here. And then if you look down at the bottom, look at those leaves there. Those are 2 leaves on 1 pup coming out of the bottom there. Then if I turn it a little bit, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see, but here, there's 1 little leaf that's just popped out that is coming out from a 2nd pup. And if I turn it around even more, oh, got to be careful here because I don't want to damage them all now. You can maybe see this brand new leaf here coming out here. That is a leaf coming out from a 3rd pup on this plant. And this first one I showed you, I can see now has another leaf coming out. So that's number 3 that I didn't notice until now. And at the top of the mother plant, if you look here, there is a brand new leaf on its way out now. So all this, as well as these petioles here, still being lovely lime green, the leaves very fresh, very new and shiny, doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing to look beautiful. And the backs, look at the backs, they're beautifully dark and burgundy, a rich dark burgundy colour. So this plant is very happy despite all. So let's just get tidying this plant up so that it can go back to looking wonderful again and standing up how it should be despite the lower light situation in my apartment. Now I'm afraid this 1 leaf here is a goner, so I'm just going to cut it off as far down to the stem as I can, and I'll bring it in just so you can see. Look at that leaf. This plant has the most amazing leaves. They always remind me of something out of science fiction. Look at the colour on the back compared to the front, that deep burgundy. It's just beautiful. It's just amazing. It is very much like sci-fi. And look at the size of this leaf compared to my hand. That's my hand, that's this leaf. That's my hand spread out. So you can see the size of this leaf. If I put my hand behind, you can't see it. If I spread it out a bit, you can see it a little bit, but it has huge leaves. And it had a leaf or 2 that were much bigger than this on it as well. So it gets really big leaves when it's happy. And you can see the petiole is this lovely lime or light green colour, and then that burgundy underneath. And then this one is spent, so it's changed its colour on the top. It's got this green shimmer in light, and then a reddy glow in darker kind of situations. So it shimmers between this red and this green glow all over it. You can see these ones are very green because they're new, and they get more kind of red the more they mature. And as I said, this leaf is going over, so it's going back yellow and orangey. So put that to the side, finish with that. The first thing I need to do now is take this plant out of this cover pot. It's in a little tiny nursery pot here. So I've got to upgrade it to a bigger pot because, as I said, it's throwing off pups and it's very happy. So I'm going to upgrade it to this pot. Also, I need to upgrade it to a bigger pot because there needs to be space for the stake that I'm going to be putting in here as well. Otherwise, there'll be no space for the stake. So what I'm going to do is put 2 centimeters of leca balls in the bottom of this pot so that there is space for drainage. When it's in the cover pot and it's touching the bottom of the cover pot, it will then still have 2 centimeters of space for drainage of water if it runs through. And then I will put this plant in this pot, put some soil around the edge, and then place the stake in where I want it to be. And then I will start tying all the leaves up into position. and I think it's just going to look wonderful. So let me just get on with this and you can see the result very soon. Maybe I need to put it back in its cover pot for a minute because I don't want it falling over or anything like that now before I get a chance to fix it, right? That's what this is all about, fixing it, not breaking it. Okay, anyway, leca balls. Remember, always wash your leca balls before you put them in with your plant because they're full of dust and that will clog up the soil. So I've washed these. I'm just going to put, as I said, 2 centimeters of leca balls in the bottom of my pot to start with, and then soil. I've already mixed my soil so I can start using it straight away. I'll put a little handful in the bottom first to cover the leca balls. Oh, there was a big bit of wood that got right in my way. To cover the leca balls, and then I will now carefully pick up my Alocasia cuprea Red Secret and try and get it to just come out of this pot easily, and it has. Oh, it's grown some lovely roots. I don't want to disturb the bottom of this plant too much because all these pups are very delicate, and if I start putting that around I'm going to damage their roots. So I just want to put this straight in and put soil around the edge. Don't need this stake because it's actually not doing anything. So let's see how we go with that. I need more space. Now I'm going to have to put her a little bit closer to one side because I need space to put the stake in, right? Now, before I do anything else, I'm actually just going to put the stake in. Actually, no, wait with the stake because I can't hold everything. I'm not an octopus like I sometimes think I am. I've only got 2 hands, so I need to put the soil in around this plant first to keep it in place before it starts falling over. So soil. New soil where there's space for it. So I'll do that. There. Turn her gently around and put soil in where there's space at the front. Because as I said, all I did was take a little bit of soil from the bottom to make room for her depth-wise. But other than that, I have not moved her roots or soil too much because of all these wonderful pups coming up. I just don't want to disturb them too much. They look fabulous and they're doing so well. So now, actually, that was quick and easy. So I've got to get this stake in as quick as possible to tie her base up so I can start working with all the leaves. I'm just going to go down like this, get that in so I can get it to be solid. If the stake's not solid, the plant's not solid. So the stake's got to be solid, which it is now. And now I can get my first bit of... See, now I really feel like I need to be an octopus because I actually need to hold this plant up at the same time as cutting off a bit of string here. To hold her up against the stake because she's already feeling like she's going to flop over. Right, I managed to do that. So this should get easier now. At the top of her base, I'm just going to tie her to this stake because I need her not to flop over. There. So that's the first tie. Now I know she is on the stake. Wonderful. So that's it. My Alocasia cuprea Red Secret is now tied to the stake. So now I can start organising all of her leaves one at a time so they're tied up and don't flop over and break. And every time a new leaf comes up, I can just go in and just add that and tie it to it. Every time one becomes spent and dies off, I can just chop that off and then undo that and take it away. So this is a very easy way of keeping your Alocasia cuprea Red Secret up and safe from breaking. And there are all these lovely pups coming out that I haven't disturbed. So she's going to actually fill out this pot even more and look beautiful. So anyway, let's get on with tying up the rest of these leaves. I'll do that in fast forward so we can get to the end result. Now look at these leaves as I tie them up. Don't they look wonderful? And they're actually taller than I thought. And this is just so nice. It's giving the plant a new grace of air. So this is going well. And what I've discovered at the same time as doing this is I didn't want to tie any of the leaves too close to the stake, because they need to have space to grow, because they do get a lot bigger than this, and they do need some space to move around. And this is not a vining plant, so they don't need to be close to the moss pole at all. The reason I've used the moss pole is because of all the fibre on the pole and because of the twine I'm using. When I put it around the petals of this plant, the twine is staying in place. When the twine is around a thin wooden pole like this, or plastic, or metal, or whatever else you have, and it's just smooth, because of the shape of the leaves and because of the movement of the leaves when the plant is trying to find light, these pieces of twine, or whatever you're using, will just slide down that pole and slide down the petal of the plant, and it will bend over and it will just snap. And so this was the best solution, because this coconut fibre stake is holding the twine completely in place. It can't move up and down, and I can adjust the distance from this stake so that the plant can still move around and still look okay. So that was the reason for thinking that, seeing as I love using stakes on so many of my vining plants, why can't I use it on this alocasia as well? Because I think it will really benefit it. So I'm just going to get on with the last leaves and see how it looks. I now just have the last leaf to tie up. And then this plant can carry on with its growth, supported by this stake. It just feels so satisfying watching all these leaves coming into place. And there we have it. So, for the most part, I have tied up every single petal of these leaves on their own individually. You can see here all the way around. And, well, some of you might think, well, that looks like a bit of a mess like that. But what you can always do is, this side, for example, that I'm showing you now, this forward way, most of the leaves are facing that way, so you can't see as many of the ties because they're hiding behind the leaves. And as I said, these leaves get quite big. So with time, those ties should disappear the more leaves that come out. And as I already said, there's one new leaf coming out here, and there are 3 new pups around the bottom throwing off lots of leaves. And they are also facing downwards, but I don't know if I should try to tie them up. They're so delicate. I think I might need to do that with these couple. I think I might do that, actually, before I carry on. I'll just quickly tie the little pups up as well, because they're facing down until they get taller. So I'm tying 3 of the pup leaves in one go at the moment, just to help them stand up a little bit better, because they're also flopping down. And it will just give them a little bit more support to stay up. They're so cute. Yeah, that's quite good. I have one little tiny pup leaf that I can't really get into some twine right now because it's so small. But there's 3 that are in now. So that was the staking done and the tying up of the petioles of these leaves. Now I just want to put a nice layer of leca balls around the top of the soil to help keep in moisture and also to help keep away insects like fungus gnats getting in and laying their eggs in this soil. So I just need to make sure it's all firm enough and low enough so there's a lip like this, and it will just be a thin layer of leca balls because there are going to be plenty of pups coming up in here, so they still need to be able to get through, and they will. They always find their way out. That's what they would do in nature anyway. So there we go, that's the leca balls done as well. Now I just want to put this plant into a lovely cover pot so I can bring it in so you can have a closer look at what I've done. So there she is. Now look at her now, standing up like this, looking beautiful and majestic again. And all her little pups growing up around the bottom, also held up a little bit. And a lovely new leaf just on its way out in the middle there. I just think this was a great solution for keeping my leaves up so they don't just all end up snapping off. I just want to show you around the back so you can see more how I've tied her up. So look in there, you can see all the ties. I've tried to tie each and every leaf up individually, like that. So they have a chance to move around individually still. But I am otherwise really, really pleased with the result of doing this. I've never seen anyone do this anywhere before, not like this. So I think this is a really wonderful idea, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing me doing this and it's given you an idea for yours. If you're struggling with your plant, if you have a plant like mine that is doing really well, but it's struggling with the lower light conditions, causing it to flop over or bend over, trying to find light in areas that are maybe not above it, but by the side and below, then the leaves are going to just bend and eventually snap off because the petals are very, very delicate on this plant. But if you have a place that has lots of light up above, then this plant should be able to stay standing up and reaching upwards lovely and strongly. So this is just a helping aid to be able to keep this beautiful plant. Because basically, I know that this plant is absolutely loving my space. I know that it's loving the environment it's in. It's in 60 to 70% humidity. It has been close to a grow light, but the grow light was on the ground by the side of it. Now I've got myself some lamp posts, so I will be able to put this plant underneath a lamp that is above it to help keep the leaves up as they are now, so that it still doesn't start stretching over the edge of these twines, trying to find light, and the top part just flopping over. So in all, I'm very happy. This plant gets very long petioles and the leaves get quite big and they can get quite heavy for the plant. So it does sometimes need help when it's in unnatural environments like in our homes. This is not out in nature. So we've got to do our best to help it out. But look at these leaves. Some of them got damaged on the transit home at that time when I brought it home. But I'm so pleased to see all these pups coming out. I just didn't realise that until now. Look at those. I've had it up on the shelf for a little bit. And these pups are all just popping out. So it just needs to continue doing that. So anyway, that's all I have for you for this repotting, restaking and revitalising and giving loving attention to my beautiful Alocasia cuprea red secret. And I wish you the best of luck with yours. And if you have any questions, comments, please write them down below. I love to hear what you have to say and any ideas you may have or anything that you've done with your Alocasia cuprea red secret to help it stay up and help it stay strong, so that I get some ideas and I get some feedback so I know what I can also do other than this to help my plant out. And I would just love this to be an interaction with you because I want to make videos that you'd love to see. So also please remember to let me know what you want to see. So thank you very much for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be uploaded. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.